Hi, my name is Chiara, and I will be talking about my design process for my mobile application, Hooked on Words. Hooked on Words is an app to improve people's vocabulary for real life settings, whether a person is a professional or a student. I believe learning new words will enhance their social skills. This app will help strengthen users' reading, writing, and listening skills for new vocabulary. It will also allow users to learn at their own pace while still being encouraged. To understand my potential users for my app, I have created a persona who is most likely to use it. Meet Abe, a young professional who is also a student and that is a native American speaker. He is a go with the flow kind of guy. Even though his schedule is currently tight, he tries to make it as flexible as possible. At the moment, Abe is just trying to survive school and his full-time job while still networking and traveling with his girlfriend. Sometimes Abe feels like he's an imposter and is not as intelligent compared to his peers, but he learns as much as he can by reading random articles, watching YouTube videos, or anything that's fast and catches his attention. What he learns, he mixes it with humor to make it entertaining. As an architect, he wants to learn outside of his setting so people's expectations are modified after having an interaction with him. As a professional, he wants to understand how to visually use a word so that when he uses it, he can use it in the real world. With his goals and motivations, he wants to have a real world experience with his learning. If it does not work for his life, he believes it to be unnecessary. He also wants to have fun with what he learns and be motivated. With that in mind, when I was creating the problem statement, he wants to have that interaction with his vocabulary words because it's the best way for him to remember what he learns. And we will know that to be true while he is progressing with different levels throughout the app. With this in mind, I wanted Hooked on Words to provide that interaction and present the vocabulary words being used in a way that is proper for the situation. And also encourage the users to keep learning and progressing. With that, I created my first round of my prototype. For my designs, I wanted to make sure that certain features were simple and easy to navigate to, as well as making the app have the accessibility and usability that people need in order to interact with the app. When I was doing my research, I noticed a lot of apps had a lot of smaller buttons, harder to click on. Certain features were in places that personally it did not make sense to me. So with those issues in mind, I tried to focus on that when I was doing my designs. But also have the app have the feel as a video game. With my user flow, I was focusing on take a lesson and tell a story. Take a lesson, a person will click on the level that they want to begin with on the homepage and will work on the exercise by choosing the correct words or definition by multiple choice. If they answer it correctly, the exercise will loop back at the end of the lesson and the user can practice what they learn. And once they complete the lesson, they will receive points and a confirmation that they completed the lesson. And the same thing will be with tell the story. The only difference is that it will be a storytelling process by clicking on what words will be properly used in that situation. my usability plan, the task that I wanted my testers to do was create an account, add a word, take a lesson, and tell a story, and change their profile, and also log out of the app. My reasons for these tasks were to see if users were able to flow without hesitation, to see if the features were visibly made sense to them, and the placements were clear. The data that I got from the tester showed some repetitive issues. One example was the verification of a task being completed. The statements were not noticeable and was hard for the users to see. There was confusion with the multiple choice, so the users did not know how to do that or how to interact with it. Some phrases were oddly placed, and a lot of just confusions of what were certain buttons. So with those issues, I did my solutions with revising certain phrases, placing the verification statements on the top, so users were able to understand if there were issues with their edits, or if they made a mistake, it will be noted right when the users are done doing it. Also, when they were doing multiple choices, I made little input buttons and shading, so it was easy for the users to see the changes while they were interacting with the app. Also, making certain things more visually noticeable. For example, the process bar showing visually how many more steps that they had to do. I also changed certain places or features positions. For example, the add the word, it used to be at the bottom, but instead I put it as a floating button, so when the users are scrolling or they want to do it as fast as they can just easily just click on the button. And then other features like creating your profile or editing your profiles and settings will be in the menu button and will be hidden, so it won't affect users' focus points on taking the lessons, telling the stories, and understanding where they are or how many words they have learned. So what have I learned from this process? I learned a lot more about user research, understanding that everyone has different needs and expectations, but trying to use what I got from those users to find similarities to help my designs to make it function for most people. Task analysts, like a short manual to understand how my app will flow for the user, and scenarios. Even though I got a lot of useful data from my scenarios, I got useful information from my scenarios, from my usability testing. The issues were my scenarios were too specific and not allow the users to be independent and really have a full-on experience with the app. For my next steps, I will find ways for me to add auditorial and writing features. Right now, it's a lot of kinesthetics and visual learning. I wanted to make sure that there was an ability for the users to listen to the words and also write the words down so they can practice it. After adding those features, I want to do another user testing to really get the users' ideas of what they see could be challenging and really get more of the understanding of like what can be improved, and me not being a little bit micromanaging. Then I'll want to start thinking about how I want my ad to visually look like for when it comes to colors and graphics and typography, and then creating a high fidelity prototype so I can do another testing and also start developing the app. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I will be looking forward to sharing my process in the future.